Well, hello, beautiful souls. I am so delighted to be back again and to thank you for the amazing response to my previous video. And you know what is so exciting about that? That I think 90% of the responses were all from Australia. And look, I'm not one to be feeling separate from other countries, but my messages at the moment are mainly to ignite a spark of awakening within the southern hemisphere so that we can hold steady the higher consciousness to allow that to emanate and radiate from us and dilute what is going on in the northern hemisphere. And let me just talk about that a bit because I think um, from what all the comments that I got, what I realized is how hungry we are down here for connection with other like-minded people, for connections to our tribe, forming communities, forming sanctuaries, forming centers of healing. It was just an absolute um, avalanche of people who were coming forward. And that, look, my heart is so full because when I first started, in 1987, there was none of this. And for the first time, we're actually recognizing down here that we have woken up, that we are a force of energy to be reckoned with and a force for good. And that is what I'm so delighted about. So, how do we go about that? I mean, what is this about and why now? Why all of a sudden am I being pushed saying you need to talk about it, you need to encourage people, and you need to get out there? Well, here I am. So, let's explore together because this whole idea of ascension, when I was first alerted to ascension, and it wasn't a word that I was really familiar with, hey, who was? Ascension was like a foreign language to me. And so what I was made aware of is that it was a change of vibrational frequency in the cosmos. So I want to go to a bigger picture and just talk about the fact that this is not just an individual journey, it is a cosmic journey. The planet is moving and the whole galaxy is moving. We're all in a state of expansion because that's what energy does. Energy only wants to expand. If it doesn't expand, it stagnates and dies eventually. So we live in an energy frequency that is constantly looking for expansion. So we are going through something that humanity has never gone through before. And you know what I get so excited about is that there are so many things coming forward to help us recognize that. And one of those is astrology. Now, I had known nothing about astrology, but I'm learning to listen because even when you look at the people, the indigenous, all the indigenous always went by the stars. We did that by reading the magazines and going, oh yeah, right, what star am I? Well, we've gone a bit beyond that, and we are learning that in the stars it is written that we are heading for a complete overhaul of the cosmos. And how exciting for us to be here to witness it. However, to be able to witness it in health and well-being, we have to do some work, some upgrading within ourselves, and that is happening whether we like it or not. We need to accommodate a higher state of consciousness, which is the place that New Earth already exists. New Earth isn't a place we go and visit. We can't buy a ticket and, travel there. We need to go within and we need to find our true innate self that has been designed for this trip. So, consciousness, what is consciousness? I was talking about it in my Ascension class yesterday. Consciousness the way that I have had it explained to me by counsel, is the fabric of reality. And in another video, I will talk about what is reality, because that's something to dive into. That will be fun. And so the fabric of the reality we have depends on the level of vibrational frequency we are operating in. So the third D or 3D density is of a level of consciousness of polarity. So everything's in opposites. It is a place of conflict, it is a place of judgment, it is a place of good, bad, right, wrong. And we all know that because we have been living in that for eons. But the level of consciousness that we're all talking about, that is New Earth, and where we want to go into, a place where that no longer exists, and that is called, we call it 5D consciousness. That is where we have to reach for within ourselves. So we have to bring ourselves to that level of consciousness for us to be able to access that. And what is so wonderful about Down Under, as it's, the above like to talk to us about, is that we don't have the distractions. We don't have war on our land. We don't have, power games that are of extremes like up north. I'm sure that there are lots of power games going on in areas of lower density and lower vibration that I'm not aware of, because I don't go there. I have one mission, and one mission is to support people, guide people, and walk beside people to lift ourselves out of there. It isn't fixable. You can't fix a low level of consciousness. It is what it is. So leave it alone and make the choice. Well, I'm done with that. I'm reaching for something that has a different reality. Now, what that means is that if you get distracted by everything that's going on somewhere else, and it's not happening here in your world, then you are drawing that to you. And because we're electromagnetic, it's a cause and effect. There's this coming back and forth all the time of energy. So what's really so important about our time in Australia and New Zealand now is that we can have huge impact on what happens globally by what we emanate. So rather than getting ourselves distracted by the chaos that is not here, let us focus on the beauty and the love and the joy, and build the energy down here to the higher level of consciousness, which will then radiate all over the globe and the cosmos and reduce the effect of the chaos and the conflict, because that's how it works. So I cannot emphasize it enough for us to be vigilant on what we do with our energy. Where do we put our attention? What is your most dominant thought? Why do you take yourself every day to bring your information into you? What are you drawn to that makes your heart sing? Because that's what that's about. We all have this incredible vehicle that is a sensory organ that will tell you all the time whether this is in resonance with you or whether it is not. So when it doesn't feel good, it isn't in resonance with you. Because when you're in resonance, that's where peace lives, that's where love lives, that's where well-being and abundance lives. That's our innate self. And each one of us is encoded with that. So, yes, we have been, conditioned to love drama. And there's a lot of drama that you can find if you want it. But the only drama I want is something that has, a happy ending. And so I'm not into drama. I'm into being present and really accept something that very few people really have done in the past, and that is accountability, responsibility, the ability to respond, right? In the moment. How do I respond? Accountability for who I am and the impact I have, not just in my small world, but in the world. Everything is a ripple effect. It's like when you throw a pebble in a pond, you can see all the ripples going out until they hit the shore. Well, our thoughts do that. Our feelings do that. Our actions do that. And our words do that. So we need to really come home to ourselves and decide, what is it that I am seeking? What is it that my soul is asking me to do and to rise up to? It is to rise beyond the limitations that we have been in for so long that have made us feel small, because we are not small. We are a divine expression of the quantum field of all possibilities and opportunities, the God source, whatever you want to call it. We need to label things, and the minute you do that, you make it smaller. We just don't have the concept yet to be able to have an understanding of the enormity of infinity. So let us just really focus on what we can do here as we are and build on that. The more we in Australia and New Zealand and here, where we are not in a war zone, where we are relatively peaceful, unless you seek something else. There are very few comments, that I've noticed where people were still looking through a lens of drama and fear and aggression and blame and all of those things. So I would like to just share with you an analogy that the council have given me. And that is, I'm not very good at taking photos. I always like someone else to do that. But I do know that people who really love to take the right photo, they have these amazing cameras with a whole series of lenses. And you stand there and they're about to take a picture and they go, no, not the right lens. We'll try with the wide angle. We'll try it with this. And they find the perfect lens to give them the perfect image. I would like to suggest that we are the camera and we have all the lenses necessary to view what we want to experience. So, which lens are you looking through? Are you looking through the lens of fear, of drama, of blame, of shame? Or are you looking through, I'm losing my words now. Are you looking through the lens of beauty, of gratitude, of love, unconditional, of well-being, of harmony, of community, of gathering, of coming together and celebrating life itself? Which lens are you looking through? Because, life is an illusion. It is malleable. You can have either. So when you ask me to come and look at your world and it's not aligned with mine, I say thank you. I have compassion for what you are seeing through your lens, but I prefer the view I've got, and that's what I'm sticking with. So let us all gather together down here and become stronger in looking through the lens of peace, love, harmony, and well-being for all, and spread that throughout the globe, which will have an impact on all the suffering and the struggle within our own countries, but also as a whole throughout the cosmos, throughout the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, and any other hemispheres that might be around that we haven't even discovered yet. I have no idea where that came from. But we're in for a wild ride, so let us enjoy the ride and let's stay focused on lifting ourselves out of that lower field of consciousness, which is a vibrational frequency. The only way to raise that frequency within you is to go to love, is to get the lens that is going to give you what you're asking for. It isn't going to come to you from somewhere else unless you have sent it out from within you. That is the accountability that I'm offering you. Yes, you have impact. I have impact. Together, we are the people that we have been waiting for. Absolutely. You know, if you enjoy this dialogue that I'm having with you, please share, subscribe, like, and spread the word. And start your own communities. It's not difficult. Just invite a couple of people and offer a cup of tea. And before you know it, that person will talk about this person and that person. Word of mouth is wonderful. But make sure that it's a word of mouth of love. So start your own gatherings. And people will come. You know that lovely phrase of that movie, Field of Dreams? Build it and people will come. Well, we are building it and people are coming. I was so delighted to see how many people around Australia are crying out to be heard, to be seen, to live in this higher state of consciousness. We're done with all the other stuff. Really? Too painful. Let's just, together, as one, show the rest of the world that it can be done differently. Because we're doing it. I am just loving this journey. I'm loving you. I am so grateful for your responses. And I'm so grateful for your courage, because it isn't for the faint of heart to step out and be seen, to walk away from what has been the norm for so long. But we can do it. We are doing it, obviously. So let's keep talking to each other. Let's keep gathering together. Let's keep sharing with each other. That is how it's done. Let's show the world that we are a power of love, a power of harmony, a power of joy, and most of all, to show that we really appreciate the gift of life. Life is meant to be enjoyed, is meant to be appreciated. It's not meant to be forgotten in the drama. We are living expressions of the divine. Something to live up to. So thank you once again for joining me on this journey. I look forward to all your comments. They are magnificent. But you know what's so great about it is that if you read some of the comments, you can find your kindred spirits there. Because people are saying, hey, who's in New South Wales? Who's over here? Who's over there? And so we are already creating these communities through this particular dialogue. So let's do it. Until I see you next time, remember, share, comment. Most of all, trust that you have it within you to be everything that you've been seeking. I love you, love yourself more, and see you very, very soon. And hey, remember, down under, we know we have something to offer, and our time has come. Bye.